Okay, I'll do what you say because you're the manager. But in my early 20s I worked at a Burger King in a college town. This place did well, but it was in an old crappy building that couldn't be altered due to local government issues. As a result, we had a lot of managers who would be there for a bit and then promoted to better places. I was good at my job, to the point where I was unofficially in charge of shifts and training new people. Note that I was still bottom of the ladder officially, which will be important later. Being a college town, people are poor and didn't buy expensive things. On top of that, you had commuters who would snag a quick bite on their way home. So a smart person knows that the corporate guidelines for what to have on hand are useless and only get you in trouble. We get a new manager, Mike. Mike is a bit of a control freak and is overcompensating for his height. He was short. It's his first evening shift and I am trying to explain the corporate guidelines are a bad idea. He doesn't like this, and being a young man I am getting a little bit angry. Finally he pulls the manager card and tells me to follow the guidelines. I pause, look him in the eye, and say, "Okay, I'll do what you say because you're the manager. But you're not going to have the food you need, wait time is going to go nuts, and it's going to be miserable. After we do that for a bit, I'm going to do it my way and pull you out of the fire." Dead silence in the kitchen. A few of the more experienced people ask me if that is really what we are going to do.
I confirm, and more than a few people are nervous, but also amused. Cut to a couple of hours later. Our parking lot is filled with people waiting, as is our lobby. On top of that, our drive-through time is at almost 10 minutes. I think our district manager might have even called in because he watched his places like a hawk. True to my word, I told people we were done and to do it the right way. We get everything under control and end the night fairly well. Mike and I discuss what happened, which boiled down to he should trust our judgment, and he was with us for 6 months. Still pulled rank, but at least he respected the people who did the job. It is amazing how many managers waltz into a new place and immediately want to place their stamp of authority and change things straight off. Managers I have seen that have come in, and just observed how their place actually works over a period of, say, 6 months, and then start to make changes actually make a difference.
This happened to me a long time back during my early career as a bookseller. This new district manager came in and made us change how we displayed those big tables of bargain books. Normally they were artfully stacked. Something we had all learned was best for optics and sales. But she had a completely different idea about putting them spine up so they looked like they were packed into a bookcase on its side. We said, "This will lead to a serious drop in sales because the books can't be seen and there is room for 50% fewer titles. And the books that are dig out will get ruined. You know, things an experienced staff would know." She quoted her authority. And we did it. Flash forward a couple of months, and our bargain book sales are, no surprise, and no exaggeration, down over 70%. The district manager and regional manager come in one day to discuss why. And we tell the regional manager exactly why. We walk her past the tables, give her a count of titles, show her misplaced and damaged books, and the now huge backstock in the back room. And we made it very clear we were following orders from the district manager. There were harsh words between the two bosses, and they left without saying anything else to us. Then the store manager came out and told us to go back to the old way. We were all quite professional about it, not one "I told her so" was uttered, but we all felt vindicated, and it was great to go back to our really cool displays. Sales immediately went back up, and that district manager never came back into the store and was gone less than a year later. Score 1 for experienced workers who care about their business.
So you let the manager have it your way, TM. A successful job at training a manager. Nice.
He's going to remember that night forever.
I worked in a brewery warehouse for years where we had 2 teams of forklift drivers. One doing the early shift, 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., and the late shift, which was 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. Our union had negotiated a deal where we loaded no more than 45 trucks a day, and the management were smart enough to let us work in a way that suited all parties. Our shifts alternated every week, and we had it that whenever you worked on early shift you would work at full capacity, loading, unloading the beer, and would deal with 35 trucks, leaving the last 10 trucks to be dealt with by the 2 to 10 p.m. shift. That meant that the late shift would mostly finish loading usually around 4:50 p.m. and the warehouse manager would then let us go home. This system was in place for years and worked well, and no one saw any reason to change it until the warehouse manager retired and a new one was appointed. He was fresh out of university, and this was his first managerial job. Anyway, after the first couple of days of observing how we work, he called a team meeting and announced that it was unacceptable that people were being paid to leave 5 or 6 hours early from their shift. And, in the future, everybody will stay and clock out at 10 p.m. No excuses. This is where the malicious compliance comes in. The forklift drivers decided that if we had to remain at work until the end, why rush about getting the trucks loaded as soon as possible? So the early shift loaded 25 trucks and left the other 20 trucks for the late shift. The late shift made sure that it took the full 8 hours to load up the remaining trucks. What that meant was that the trucks that previously would be loaded and halfway across the country, or even in France, by night time were now still stuck in London. After 2 weeks of our go slow, the warehouse manager was called into his manager's office and was told his service was being withdrawn due to customers receiving their orders often a day late, and the complaints kept coming in. We got a new warehouse manager immediately who was told by the drivers how things worked best, and he just left us to go back to our old system.
We get a new manager, Mike. Mike is a bit of a control freak. Say no lore, we understand.
Haven't been to a Burger King in years. How is their food these days compared to like Wendy's, McDonald's, and Jack in the Box?
I think this is called a white strike. Or work to rule, as I now see.
Mike is a good manager. His orders are to do it X way. And because he's probably never been in a position where X way doesn't work well enough, he also gave you the benefit of the doubt when it was demonstrated that X way didn't work, and left you to make the call. Pray that you always get managers as good as Mike. So that's why the BK in Newark shut down. New managers always feel like they got something to prove. They don't know or care what performance was previously. It wasn't good enough. Damn it. My company is going through this exact same scenario with a new CEO. Quotas are 60% higher this October than they were last October, in an economy that might be 60% weaker. Good times. I used to have a lot of faith in my company. Now, I don't know. This used to always be an associate's first company. He's been in the high seat for only a few months, and it already feels like crush the peasants to impress shareholders. Butter Bar 0 NCO1. I'm sorry to intrude, but I feel like letting it go for a little while longer would drive the point home better. A sergeant in motion outranks a lieutenant who doesn't know what's going on. Quote from Schlock Mercenary. This is a prime example of why people should observe how things work first. If I know what I'm doing, I expect to be able to do it without damaging interference. However, if someone offers me advice of how to make something better, I tend to consider it first. If it's a good idea, I'll try it and see the results. If it works, it works. If not, I go back to what I worked before. If I ever to get a management position, I'll try my best to not let it get over my head, and listen to people's advice, old or new. Sometimes the new guys have good ideas, But if it will cause trouble with the people that are already there, I think the best idea would be to have both the person that had the idea and people that were there before to talk and decide if they should or should not change it. It must suck to be a short person in charge when everyone dismisses your decisions as he's just compensating for his height.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Aircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.